Okay, hello, good morning for me. It is 9:17. It is Tuesday, the 28th of October. I'm doing another trade breakdown. I've taken one trade in London session today, so that's my London session finished. I've taken my one trade. I've hit a take profit on Euro USD. So yeah, just going to break down exactly why I've taken the trade. Everything that I thought about went through my head. You know the drill. So seamless transition. Let me get this right this time. Wow, it didn't really look very cool. So come onto the charts first thing this morning. Now, EU's in quite an interesting place at the moment. I spoke about in my previous breakdowns how currently we have these bearish ranges that we're trading within. At the moment, we're trading within this bearish range here, this high right here to this low right here. We had put in what I assumed to be the high of this kind of the high of the kind of retracement of this range, and I thought we were just going to keep going down and target this liquidity that was lower, but as you can see, we have been pushing higher and higher. So yeah, we could be going for a deeper retracement. We could potentially take out this high before we drop. We could just take out this weekly high before we drop. We could potentially just keep going higher. We don't necessarily have to go lower just because we're trading within those bearish ranges. The one thing that I do have in mind at the moment is the fact that these daily candles, while we are pushing up, daily candles aren't very convincing. If we look at the sell pressure that was here and how bearish those candles are, these daily candles, very small, not a lot of volume, not really going that far. So while the buying power is, or the bulls are in at the moment, they're not too powerful. So it's something to keep in mind when we start seeing some hourly breaks of structure. That could mean that we'll see the rollover and the start to move to the downside, where these liquidity levels are the ones that I am looking for EU to target at some point over the next maybe week. This week, I don't know, could see a huge bearish candle to push us down, or potentially not. Anyway, when I came in this morning, like with a lot of days this morning, I feel like it's something I've said quite a lot. Tokyo high had already been taken, so it was taken actually shortly after it closed. So we can see that we put in the Tokyo high here, and then immediately after it was liquidated. So it's logical to assume at this point that we would start to seek out some sell side liquidity, i.e. Tokyo low, or even potentially lower. But we've put in what could be the high for the day. We started to create some bearish structure. So when London opens, I want to see some internal liquidity taken into a valid area of supply, which we got. We can see here we had this big bull candle that pushed up, and then immediately we saw a rollover down, breaking some internal structures, creating a valid supply right there. And then we failed to tap into the supply there. We also had this nice spike up just before London opened, and that again failed to tap into that supply, further validating the supply for me, because looking at it, that supply now has a small amount of liquidity above it, which kind of just adds some confluence to it. If you find a supply or demand that has some liquidity sat just above or just below, obviously just below for supply, just above for demand, makes it more valid. So when London opened, we did start to see price climb up, and then I executed my sell position once we tapped in, although I was entered in a little bit lower than I would have liked. But anyway, entered in there, and then we put stops just above the high from the supply that we're selling off of. And then, yeah, that was pretty much it. My overall target was just below Tokyo low, just basically just above the PDC, which is the previous daily close. Something that I use quite a lot for analysis, targets, and also sometimes for entries. So the PDC just shows me where the previous daily candle closed out. So that was basically the high of yesterday's candle. That's where it closed out. Or in yesterday's case, it was the daily close. That was the high for the day, or not the high for the day, but the close for the day, pardon me. And we sometimes see, if we're selling from up here, then it's logical to assume that if we're selling and we believe that the candle is going to flip, we'll at least reach the previous daily close. We'll at least reach that level before potentially swinging lower, or we might reach that close again and then push higher. But for me, we had Asia low there, we had the PDC there. So it was logical to assume that was quite a good place to look for a target. You can see that we tapped the PDC here, and then we've literally just bounced immediately. From here, we could just seek out this supply that was created and then run lower again, or we could go higher, but not really my concern now because it has hit take profit, which is wonderful. So we can put up the funded account here on QT Quantecal. We can see here that we've hit take profit on that one. On that funded challenge, I am one trade away from passing that funded challenge, which is pretty good. I've had it linked up to my personal account now through Traders Connect, and it's worked really, really well. But yeah, QT one trade away from passing, which is great. But that's my morning done now. That is pretty much it. Might come back for New York. Like I said in my video yesterday when I did a trade recap, trade breakdown, whatever you want to call them. It is half term at the moment, so kids are at home, or kids, one of them's at nursery, the other one's over there. So might just take the afternoon off. Now I've hit a nice take profit. But yeah, that simple, really. Or straightforward, I should say. So yeah, not really much else to say about that one.